Lumi, one of the newest editions of Vocaloid last year. She was released August 17th, that's not last year, by Akatsuki Virtual Artists, the same people that worked on Project Daisy, the predecessor to the Vocaloid engine. But when I saw Lumi's backstory, her personality, and her voice, I knew she would be the most spiritual Vocaloid in the entire roster. We have a lot to cover, going over Buddhism, jellyfish, animals, lifespans, and the boundaries of life and death. On this edition of According to Demo, Lumi's spirituality. According to her backstory, Lumi is a Turritopsis shrine maiden who has come to the human world. Lumi is said to become the goddess of Shinkei, which literally translates to the deep sea, a land on the seabed of Kamakura. In order to be considered worthy, she is undergoing the test of transforming 1,000 of humanity's seeds of anguish into seeds of hope. Bravo. However, Lumi is also fragile and would become paralyzed if she were to take on too much of humanity's pain. Hey, I feel you, sister. I've done the same thing. She has a wound in her heart from leaving Urashima, Taro, and Otohime, her caretakers, which aches under humanity's suffering. Lumi's backstory ends with the question, can Lumi overcome this trial and become a goddess? There's more to her story, but I'm going to go over this part first. A Turritopsis nutricula is a small jellyfish that can essentially live forever and ever unless it is eaten or disintegrated into oblivion. She is going to become the goddess of Shinkei, or the deep sea goddess. But the problem is Shinto, where shrine maidens come from already have a deep sea god known as Ryujin. It's pronounced Yujin, the dragon god. The thing is, in Shinto lore, sea turtles, fish, and most specifically jellyfish are his servants, or shrine keepers. Exactly what a shrine maiden is it not? Yujin is almost commonly known to be a war god, protecting Japan alone, battling Korea's navy. But a tale also tells how the jellyfish lost their bones. As the story goes, Ryujin, who wanted to eat monkey's liver, sent the jellyfish to get him a monkey. How the heck you do that? I don't know. They're just completely different creatures. Don't even live on the same plane of existence. The monkey managed to sneak away from the jellyfish by telling him that he had put his liver in a jar in the forest and offered to go and get it. As the jellyfish came back and told Yujin that what had happened, Yujin became so angry that he beat the jellyfish until his bones were crushed and just slithered on out of him like a little piece of wrapped up paper with all that little crumbly bits in it. The jellyfish became the bag of paper. So, abusive to innocence is what I call that. But then again, this was a way long time ago. This would also explain Lumi's caretakers. If she still has bones, then she's not Yujin Slacky, or has always done what she was told without angering the Dragon Lord, and seeing his massive anger and thrashing in the face of aberration probably makes her heart break even more for her fellow creatures. Speaking of her caretakers, Taro and Otohime is a fairy tale detailing the congruency of Ryujin and Lumi. As the tale goes, long ago, a man named Urashima Taro, I hope I'm pronouncing these right, found a turtle on the beach being toyed with by a group of children. He purchased the turtle and released it into the ocean. Why he purchased it, I'm not sure. It was being toyed with. Was it owned? 2 or 3 days later, while he was fishing on a boat as always, the grateful turtle came and told him he would carry him on his back to the underwater palace known as Dragon Palace, Ryugu. At the palace, the princess, Otohime, thanked him for saving the turtle. After an unspecified number of days, remembrance of his mother and father made him homesick, and he bid farewell to Otohime. The princess tried to dissuade him from leaving, but finally let him go with a parting gift. A mysterious box called Tame Tabako. Tomato. Funny that I just realized that. A mysterious box called Tame Tabako, whose lid he was told never to open. Except why would you give a gift to say never open it? When Taro returned to his hometown, everything had changed. His home was gone, his mother and father had perished, and the people he knew were nowhere to be found, nowhere to be seen. Not remembering the princess's warning, he lifted the lid of the box. A cloud of white smoke arose, turning him into a white-haired old man. And that's the end. Basically, from what I can gather, it's an allegory for being rewarded with something nice isn't always a good thing and has certain catches to it, especially since Ryujin sounds much like a mob boss, and mob bosses have a track record for giving you a gift that it explodes in your face. This is very philosophical Vocaloid already, but we aren't even halfway through yet. Buckle up! It has been said that the best words to describe Lumi would be Buddhism, jellyfish, shrine maiden, and Kamakura. But was supposed to be related to Bodhivistas or Bodhisattvas. I don't know why I say Bodhivista. What's that? Which I will get into later. We are going to go through each of these words that describe her, starting with Buddhism. Buddhism is the true atheist religion and do not worship gods or deities. Or at least the true Buddhism that isn't mixed with Taoism or Shintoism like we're talking about now. But there are types of Buddhism that give credence to gods and deities, like I've just mentioned. But these are the 4 types of Buddhism: Theravada, Mahayana, Vajrayana, and Zen. Of course, everybody knows Zen. Let me go into each one of these. Theravada is the most ancient and was one that said enlightenment is spirituality, not gods or a master of one's soul. That there is probably no spiritual realm at all. Okay, now Mahayana Buddhism is the first teaching of Bodhisattvas, which are beings that work out of compassion to liberate other sentient beings from their suffering as central devotion figures, which is exactly like what Lumi is said to do. Basically, it prophets. That's what they are. Now, Vajrayana is the last 3 of the ancient Buddhisms. It believes that the physical and spiritual realm coexist, and this is where Shinto rituals and chants came from. Now, Zen Buddhism is far more prevalent today, de-emphasizing the rituals of study, of books and stuff, which is far more into the archaic form of Theravada Buddhism anyway. So, I don't know, full circle. Hey, another Buddhist teaching. Yeah. Now, Mahayana Buddhism is the sect that makes Lumi's backstory. Okay? You see, even though Shinto and other combination religions have gods and deities, like in the story of Ryujin, Buddhism is ultimately self-righteous. But now that we know what kind she is, we can go into jellyfishes. Except we've already went over that. Now we're going into shrine maidens. Shrine maidens are upkeeps and beautiful ritual performers for deity shrines in the religion. That's basically all there is to it. I mean, if you've seen anime, you know what shrine maidens are. I mean, come on. Now we go into specifically Kamakura. At first, in the 2017 video where I told she was coming out, at first I thought it was the Kamakura period in Japan back when she was released. But it actually means the Kamakura city in the Kanagawa Prefecture, Japan. Kamakura is the home of the biggest Buddha statue in the world and is home to very, very many shrines, as well as the shrine of Ryujin. So there you have it. I have corrected myself for anyone who has dealt with that for over a year. I'm sorry if I got it wrong then. I mean, hey, I didn't look into it back then. Man. There are even characters in this Vocaloid's backstory, known as a rival called Vino. On August 14th, 2018, former founder Kaoru Yoshizawa, I love you Yoshi, tweeted that Lumi was meant to have a rival. This rival was known as Vino, as I've just mentioned before. Why did I write it 2 times in the script? I don't know. He was conceptualized as a male seahorse civil officer who served Otohime, but had no official design. I want that design, please. That would be super awesome. Seahorse Man. Makes so many epic songs with that one. This information was revealed as Kaoru Yoshizawa's final contribution to the Vocaloid fandom. It should be noted that it was not explicitly stated if Vino was meant to only be a character from Lumi's world or if he was meant to be a Vocaloid product. So, I want a Vocaloid seahorse. Oh no. So that's about it for her backstory. Now, she's supposed to be significantly made as a death being, since she can die and come back to life, as well as being cut in half and become 2 beings that will eventually merge back into one Vocaloid. Lumi herself is a massive partial carriage of human emotional weight. She must take care of all of the people's ache for them to reach enlightenment. But for her, she'll pass away if she takes on too much empathy, which I can rightfully say that is true on all accounts, justifying the need to be discreet in their work, their emotions, their souls, for knowing too much about the world as a common element of remorse for that knowledge. It's hard to imagine what so much knowledge can do to one's mind, but if I know anything, it's that empathy must be left behind if you intend to grow into enlightenment. This may seem extremely evil in some cases, but just know that both ends of the river are the same land. The land starting is at a desolate lack of care of all mankind, while the river is the inherent empathy some lack, but on the other side comes great knowledge, where the sight is much like the first sight of the untrained eye. But to the wise, to the ones that have waded through deep emotional turmoil, this sight is so precious and perfectly made, even though it is made of pure ash and decay. It's perspective. That is a huge perspective metaphor. That is the whole of what Buddhism and enlightenment is. Knowing that all things pass away, new things will arrive, but all things will go back to where they once were. But the self is better for it, after all. Enlightenment is not a sham, but it's important for everyone, whether you're a Christian, Muslim, Jew, Hindu, nearly all cults, I guess, as well as atheism itself. Because I think we all can agree that no matter what religion you have, enlightenment will make you a far better person. The whole point of religion is to become better, or to hate people because you align with hate and you just wanna do stuff and do bad. You just wanna do horrible stuff and blame the religion because I have the right to. No, you don't. Just stupid. Anyway, even if your God is one of hate, there will always be a God of love somewhere else inside of you. All you have to do is just redecorate your inner soul to accommodate. Love is what enlightenment is and beyond. To all beings, no matter the evil they commit. Forgiveness of oneself begins with the forgiveness of all. And that's a message that speaks to my very spirit, my very soul, my very being, and that's what I preach to you today. Have you seen or had a conversation with our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ? Where am I going? Religion joke, yay. So what do you think about Lumi? Do you like this side of her? Tell me in the comments while I say this was for educational purposes only, because Lumi has some extremely strict guidelines using her image. So much that they are literally striking down some renditions of fan art. Is this video fan art? Nope. It's an educational video using Lumi as a reference point, and that can be very well hold up in US courts since I don't live in Japan. Tell I'm paranoid. So, if you want more Vocaloid gaming content, then press that subscribe button. And if you want to see more of According to Demo, then go ahead and click that like button as well. I think you'll come back. I know you'll come back for some more According to Demo in the next 2 weeks, where we do Gumi. Cannot wait!